Over the last few years, I've coached dozens of social anxiety sufferers and anxious overthinkers from around the world, from Ireland to Australia to Mexico to Canada to Denmark, but they all shared this one thing in common. And once you take care of this is going to eradicate a large amount of your rumination and your negative overthinking straight away. So stick around to the end of this video because it's a simple switch in the way that you're thinking that will bring big results instantly. But before we get into this, let me tell you a little story from my own life to illustrate just how badly this used to affect me. 10 years ago, I was such a socially anxious overthinker that I would be worrying all the time about what people thought about me. And I got this overwhelming feeling that I wanted to actually ask people what they thought of me because it was driving me crazy not knowing what was going on inside their heads. Now, I don't know if you can relate to that, but we can all agree that that is an absolutely crazy way to be living. But when you have social anxiety and you overthink, this is really how it is because you're living on other people's terms. You're living for their approval. And the idea that they're thinking negative stuff about you drives you crazy. So there's a brilliant piece of advice that I want to share with you from a very clever guy called Derek Sivers. Derek Sivers is a multimillionaire. He's a musician. He's an entrepreneur. And he has a very good book and a very smart philosophy where he says that we cannot know what is really true. The idea of truth is very subjective, so it's very helpful for us to completely scrap what we think might be true and just choose to believe what is actually helpful. So to give you a classic example from my coaching calls, clients often tell me that when they leave a situation, they often worry and ruminate whether people were talking about them after they left, whether people are saying stuff behind their back. Now, that may be true, but unless you go around with a clipboard and start surveying everybody and finding out if they actually were talking about you, you have no way of knowing. So therefore, in this instance and in many other instances, it's far more helpful to us just to choose to believe what is helpful. I choose to believe those people are kind and they weren't saying bad stuff about me behind my back. Okay, that might not be true. They may well have been saying bad stuff about you behind your back, but it doesn't help you. And at the end of the day, you cannot know anyway. So it's much better to just choose what is helpful. And what this does is it just cuts off that rumination and allows you to get on with the rest of your life. And I totally understand if you're a neurotic, overthinking person who has social anxiety, this will feel completely alien to you because you've spent your whole life being hypervigilant, trying to read the room, trying to figure out what everyone's thinking about you, trying to make sure that everybody looks happy with you. But I'm telling you, all that does is completely deplete you of all of your energy. It leads you to getting burned out and it's no way for you to live. So please try this in your own life because it applies to many different areas as well. So to give you another example from my coaching course, before you go into a social interaction, you may be thinking, people there are not going to accept me. They won't like me. So ask yourself, is that true or is that helpful? And I would say it's neither true, you cannot verify that, and it's not helpful for you to think that. So before you go into an interaction, go in there with the assumption that you are going to be accepted and that you are going to be liked. And that massively increases your chances of seeing that being reflected back to you because so much of what we get in our life is a reflection of the energy that we give out. So please try and apply this in your own life. Next time you come home from the supermarket and you're ruminating, thinking, was I awkward in front of that cashier? Were the people behind me in the queue, were they judging me? Whatever situation it is, just ask yourself, can I know if this is true? And is it helpful? And if you can't know if it's true or not, scrap it. And if it isn't helpful, scrap it and just choose to believe what is helpful. And you might think this is delusional, but at the end of the day, you can't know if you're being negatively delusional, which you are now, and which most likely is not even based in fact, because people with social anxiety always look at the negative side of things. So it's far more helpful just to be slightly positively delusional. So try this out in your own life. Try to adopt what is helpful and not what is necessarily true. Leave me a comment below and let me know how you get on with this new mindset shift.